Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. This is Second Chance Barlow, and today we're going to be watching a video called The State of YouTube Shorts 2023, What's Working Now? So without further ado, let's get into it.
So I did a thing. I collected 35 billion views worth of YouTube Shorts because I wanted to know what's working with YouTube Shorts right now. Howdy everyone, Nate here. I could have kept going, but I decided at some point I needed to say, you know what? This is enough data. So let me tell you what I found. First, let's start with the high-level findings across the entire data set. You may have heard at some point that 15 seconds is the ideal length for a YouTube short. However, based on my finding, that wasn't exactly true. You see, I took all of this data and I mapped it out in a few different ways, and I found that there actually wasn't just one sweet spot. There was actually two. So this is what the distribution of views across the billions of views looked like. You'll notice two standouts. The first one being not 15 seconds, but actually 13 seconds long, and the second one being exactly at 1 minute or 60 seconds. Now this is crazy to me because of course there's a spread of a variety of different lengths of YouTube Shorts, and of course there are a lot of YouTube Shorts that are successful at any duration. But what this is showing me is absolutely clearly the two primary areas that got the most views on YouTube are either shorts that are 13 seconds long or 60 seconds long. Next.
Well, that's good to know. I kind of like that.
Next, with the high-level data poll, I mapped out a scatter graph of what the amount of shorts look like, the quantity of actual shorts being published over time combined with the views aggregate. And this is what it looks like. Now, the biggest takeaway I'm getting from this is the definite upward trend of YouTube Shorts. If there's ever a concern that YouTube Shorts are becoming oversaturated, this seems to point to interest actually going up and total views over time going up as well. And the other interesting thing for the high-level data here is that the vast majority of the channels that I polled, they had each published at a minimum 200 YouTube Shorts, and in many cases, many multiples of that 200 number. And by the way, I wanted to mention, I have plans to make some more of the behind the scenes in addition to the additional data that I found, more available in the future. So of course, stay tuned on this channel if you are interested in seeing a bit more of what goes on behind the research. All right, it's time to drill down on.
Now that's an example of a popular type of low budget YouTube channel idea or video idea called behind the scenes. I gotta be honest, I am a little interested in it. I don't know if I'm interested enough to actually look at it, but I am interested.
On the findings here. And of course, I think we need to cue some more music in order to do that properly. What in the world? All right, as part of my research, I also watched hundreds and hundreds of YouTube Shorts. I was in the bathroom watching YouTube Shorts, practically in the shower watching YouTube Shorts, making dinner watching YouTube Shorts, you get it. I also did random sampling of YouTube Shorts from the channels that I had pulled the data from. Now this is important because what I consider to be one of my talents is the ability to see patterns where other people might not see them. What I was doing next was seeing patterns on what types of shorts were being the most successful. We can talk about duds in another video. In this video, I wanted to show winners. I found that there were broadly 8 different categories of broad appeal, high interest, successful YouTube.
Okay, let's read these. Original showcase, secondary showcase, short story, skit scenario, event/challenge, making of, response, sensory experience.
Shorts. The first type I'm calling an original showcase, and I would define this as a compilation of interesting things or events, usually starts with a statement, written or verbal, of what that YouTube short will deliver. Let me show you an example.
Only eating spicy food for a full day. For breakfast, I started off with Samyang fire noodles, which I actually love, but today I decided to be crazy and add Da Bomb hot sauce from that show Hot One.
Right there, you saw the statement of what this video is going to be, and then the premise is very.
Okay, I understand liking hot spicy food, but that looks like a little overboard.
clear that this is going to be a compilation of interesting things, in this case, food and spicy food. The next of the 8 shorts categories is what I'm calling a secondary showcase. Very similar to an original showcase, but in this case, I define it as a single demonstration or compilation of something, but the footage or the topic matter itself isn't something that was created by that creator. Let me give you an example.
As soon as a jet lands on an aircraft carrier, the pilot pushes full throttle, but why?
Prime Video is entertainment for you. World-changing, map-taking, role-breaking you, just as you are.
Glad Force Flex Max Strength trash bags are 25% more durable.
Landing on an aircraft carrier is one of the most difficult procedures for a Navy pilot to.
So in this case, you can clearly see it's interesting footage, but is the creator of this video, this YouTube short, actually landing jets on aircraft carriers? No, they aren't, but they're creating a showcase of this interesting thing for the YouTube short. I think this is also a good point to mention that for some of these YouTube shorts, I will not be able to play audio because it relies heavily on music, and I don't own the rights to that music, unfortunately, so I will be inserting my own music into the background of some of these YouTube shorts. You're welcome. Next shorts category that I saw being extremely successful is a short story. Now, of course, it's kind of built into the name, right? But how I would define this is pretty clearly a premise, the start of a journey, challenges or mistakes along the way, the continuance of the journey, and then the results or the wrap-up of that journey, all within 60 seconds or less. For an example, let me show you this one.
I'm turning my brother's room into an Airbnb. You see, my brother moved out for college, and I don't want to miss out on free money. So I'm gonna clean his room and list it on Airbnb to see how much money we can make.
The next YouTube Shorts category that I found to be extremely successful.
Wow. And I thought parents were bad when it came to brothers or to their children's rooms. Wow. That's cold.
Is what I'm calling a skit category. Now this one is very similar to the short story category in that almost every single one tells some sort of story or involves some sort of situation. But I'm differentiating this because skits are usually fictional situations. And they're usually done with the intent to make people laugh, smile, or relate to it.
Emma, is that you?
Oh, hey, Mom.
I'm gonna have to call you back. Why are you being weird?
I'm like always weird, Mom.
Did something happen?
No.
Did you fail your math test?
No.
Sorry.
I mean,
Okay, so you get, I gotta drink some water. Okay, so you get the idea. There's this fictional situation that is being played out. Next category, I'm calling a unique event or challenge, and I'm defining it as a challenge or task that isn't seen very often, but has good visual results. Another example of this challenge category of YouTube Shorts.
Who's the least favorite?
It's the type of short that puts a smile on your face, and I wanted to point out with this.
Grandparents have a very special relationship with the grandkids. I know my son loves his grandpa.
One, for example, there's clearly a draw to the end of this YouTube short because they're going to be eliminating family members as they go along to finally the absolute least favorite family member. Next category I'm calling a making of category, and I would define this as the behind the scenes of how something visually or auditorially interesting was made, then you show the results. The next category is the response or refuting another piece of content on YouTube. And this format typically looks like showing a piece of the original content and then providing your own response to the original content, whether it's refuting it or adding additional layers of interest to it.
My mortgage is $3,800 a month. I live here with my boyfriend. I am in contract on a house with my boyfriend in Palm Springs, California.
You shouldn't buy something unless you're married. It just gets messy.
And then the final broad category of successful YouTube shorts that I found, I'm calling the sensory.
Moral of that video? Get married.
Experience YouTube short. And I would describe this in the ASMR space or the space where there's a lot of things happening that rely heavily on sound or visuals and not necessarily talking or words. An example of that looks like this. Pretty straightforward, eh? And now it's time to cue the next portion of this video where I drill down even more and share the key findings within the pieces of content on what worked versus what didn't. Thank you for that music, but again, it's the wrong music. Can we swap the music? Okay, you see, my focus for this key findings segment was realizing that these shorts are the ones that tend to have the highest audience cap, or the broadest appeal, broadest interest on YouTube. Now, I did do that intentionally, not because I think that everybody should make YouTube shorts exactly like these, but rather so that we can see what is working and apply them to our own content. And remember how I mentioned patterns? The patterns were extremely clear to me in this section. First key finding, text on screen is critical for YouTube Shorts. Even if it's a YouTube short that doesn't involve any actual talking, still having a text label in the footage on screen at the beginning of the video is absolutely essential. And that importance only goes up if you have a YouTube short that relies heavily on spoken words. Now, there is a range of just the title at the beginning of the YouTube short to having captions for every single spoken word within the short, and there are spaces in between that are successful. Let me show you an example.
Apparently, you can change the color of an Orbeez, so we have to try this. I got the world's largest Orbeez along with some regular Orbeez. Now, for this to work, we will only be using clear Orbeez. Quick size difference check.
So in that case, there weren't captions for every single word being spoken, but there were captions for key moments within the video. And next, critical key to successful YouTube shorts, you must set up the short within the first 3 seconds. If you do not have a clear promise of interest within the first 3 seconds of a YouTube short, you do not have a good YouTube short. Let me show you an example of an excellent setup.
My parents got divorced when I was 1, and my mom was dating this guy. He broke up with my mom and started dating a woman directly across the street.
It's the type of situation where the story sounds interesting, that the setup is clear within the first 3 to 5 seconds. At that point, you're hooked and you want to listen to the rest of the story. The next critical point I found is within the setup, there's some sort of promise, and you need to deliver on that promise within the content of the short. Now, you might look at that and say, well, duh, Nate. Of course you need to deliver on the promise. But I would follow that up with, well, hold up here. The biggest error is delivering on the promise in too much time. If the promise suggests a certain amount of delivery time and your short takes longer to deliver on that, you'll create a dissatisfying experience for people. Now, there's one more huge key that I found from this data study, but I also wanted to mention that I am starting a new initiative that I'm going to put details of in the pinned comment on this video. It's something I've been considering doing for a while, and the amount of requests I have gotten for me to do this, I can't even count. So please do check it out in the pinned comment on this video. Now, I mentioned this earlier, but it was so apparent with this data that I pulled that it was worth mentioning again. Channels that consistently publish YouTube shorts and get better in each piece of content to the tune of at least 200 YouTube shorts are far, far more likely to be successful with YouTube shorts. I have much more in the works and much more planned. So I am excited that you are going to stay in the loop along the way, along the journey here on this channel. And as always,
well, that was the video. I found it very informative, and it was also pretty entertaining. You got to see my reactions, some delayed and some on cue, to some of the clips examples that were given. Thank you very much for taking your time and watching this video, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.